With Rondi Arman from the Academy of Wildlife Education, and you're going to tell us all about the wolf.
Yeah, thanks for sending me over here, by the way. That was nice of you.
I heard there was open auditions for a weather meteorologist next week.
Who pulled the shortest?
You're wireless. You have a wireless microphone, and I don't have one. We moved the set around a little bit. So
I've ever told you I've been bit by dogs 4 times.
Oh, really? So you're the lucky guy.
So here comes 5.
No, I actually did an interview in the Quad Cities and found out later that the person doing the interview was deathly afraid of dogs. I had my wolf with me, and she got through it. She didn't pass out, but yeah, I always get those stories later.
I'm certainly not afraid of them anymore, but I must taste good or something. I'm not sure. Well, who do we have here?
This is Kiona. This is our one of our gray wolves. We've got 5 wolves in our educational pack. And she's probably seen tens of thousands of school children in our wolf education programs.
It's only eaten 4 or 5 of them, right?
Hey, we haven't lost one. So, and the wolves haven't panicked or anything. So, again, it comes down to people understanding the role of apex predators in an ecosystem. Wolves are historically native to the state of Iowa. They're supposed to be here. They are in the Iowa Code, so you just can't go out and shoot them if you see one. But most people wouldn't even know what they are.
Right.
They're fighting wolves down in Missouri. There's been a female that was shot down there. So we know chances are we've got very few wolves in Iowa because they're not jumping over Iowa to get down into Missouri.
So they're coming from Minnesota, Wisconsin?
Minnesota, Wisconsin. We track wolves up in Wisconsin, and we'll show some images here in a bit about what we do up there. And yeah, they basically come down to the Wisconsin River, which funnels into the Mississippi, and at that point, it's just total islands up there. You can walk across it. And so the wolves would just walk across the Mississippi, get into northeast Iowa, and then go into the state. And we know that they're coming through because they're ending up in Missouri. So we're trying to study dispersal corridors through the state of Iowa, find out, yeah, this is what we look for when we're out on the roads doing roadside surveys. I look for gait, I look for these patterns. This is a marking post, a scent post. They've actually defecated on there, and all the wolves go up there and smell it and stuff, and that's how they can keep other packs away. This is typically what we find. We're not worried about the wolves, but we get no trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. So that's my welcome to Wisconsin sign when we go up there tracking for wolves. But again, that's a typical wolf print. They're a little bit elongated. They're about 4 to 5 inches from
so they
the
would
heel
be
pad
bigger than most dogs, not
most
all,
dogs,
most.
Right. And so there's a specific way that footprint measures and lays in the snow, and yeah, you can see how big their paws are. So,
where did was it Fiona?
Kiona.
Kiona. Where did she come from?
She came out of the genetic bank of biodiversity, and that guarantees that species don't go extinct. But she came to us from Bear Country, USA, which is up in South Dakota, that drive-through wildlife park up there. And so she was a very unique wolf puppy. When we went to go get her, she was really happy to see us and jumping up and down like a Mexican jumping bean, and I knew she was going to go home with us then. And we imprint these animals. This is not wild behavior. This does not mean that they're going to be as domestic as a dog, but imprinting is the process we go through. We live with these animals. We spend a lot of time with them, more time than what most people would put into their pets and stuff. And that's what makes them workable for us. They enjoy going out and interacting with the general public because these are wildlife ambassadors. According to the National Science Teachers Association, live animals in the classroom is one of the best ways to learn. You get learning opportunities that you don't normally get through textbooks and stuff. So it's important that people get a chance to see it, interact with it, and ask questions about them, and that's how they learn about gray wolves and the other animals that are native to Iowa.
Now, when I went to the academy for the first time a few months back, we walked into the mall, my family and I heard this howling, and I thought, well, I wonder if they just have a soundtrack playing.
Sure.
And no, it was not a soundtrack, was it?
No, howling is not really stressful. Howling is basically a form of communication, and they sing. I mean, these guys will, anytime they hear blinded by the light, they howl. We show up, they know the sounds of our vehicles, they howl. If we try to ignore them, they howl. They want to know where we're at, and then we communicate back with them. So again, it's just a family call, similar to what we do.
Now, before the segment, I asked you, you know, if when you hear about cougars in Iowa, you hear about lone males that get forced out of the Black Hills or wherever they're coming from.
Sure.
And I asked you if it's likely we just have lone males in Iowa, and you said no.
Well, again, this is a social animal, and so they're not designed to be solitary. They're looking for mates. And so typically what happens is a male and a female will disperse from different packs. They howl, they find each other, and then two animals is considered a pack, and then they go and establish themselves a territory. So they're more likely to be dispersing in time in pairs. And in Iowa, we probably have 1 or 2 packs up in northeast Iowa. But again, the average size of a wolf pack here in the Midwest is about 4 animals. So and then when they travel, they don't travel in a group. They'll spread out and stuff, as we find in Wisconsin when we're tracking them. They could be a quarter mile, half mile apart and still be in the same pack and stuff.
Where, if they were in Iowa, what kind of environment would they prefer to hang out in?
Well, wherever the white-tailed deer are at. So again, downtown Des Moines here. No.
Yeah, I was going to say we have plenty of
over
those.
at Waterworks. They prefer that forest habitat. They like to. They have to have that cover. That's what makes them comfortable. But they're like any other animal. They're adapting to the changing ecosystem. There isn't a lot of that anymore, especially in Iowa. Northeast Iowa, southeast Iowa, up along the Des Moines River, there's pockets that could sustain a pack of animals. We're not going to have a large number of wolves in Iowa. As we're finding, most of these animals are coming through the state. I mean, once they get into Missouri and they get into those Ozarks, that's ideal habitat for them. But they have to get there, and that's the important thing that I think a lot of states are starting to realize. I know in Nebraska, they were trying to repeal their cougar hunting laws. In Illinois, they're putting the bear, wolf, and cougar into their code so that these animals can disperse into these larger habitats. And Iowa's going to have to step up eventually and put the bear and the cougar in the Iowa code so that they can disperse and get to these other distinct population segments. That's key as far as keeping the ecosystems healthy.
If we have some of these wandering around Iowa, how much of a threat to people are they?
They're not. I mean, I think in the past 100 or so years, there's only been 2 people killed by wild wolves. They just don't care about people. And again, they're so sensitive to their environment, they're going to know about you before you even come close to seeing them. And they'll go run off. Again, I always tell people it's just like any other animal. If they've got pups or if they've got food, they're going to defend that. But otherwise, they could care less about people. They don't wake up in the morning and go, where's the nearest human population at that I can go scare today? They don't look into people's windows and stuff. They help keep prey species healthy. They go after the old, the sick, inexperienced animals. That's what they call out. And that's their role in nature.
But they may be a threat to maybe dogs, I suppose.
Well, yeah, dogs and stuff like that. I mean, they're canine. Dogs don't like each other. I mean, you see dog fights all the time. And all domestic dogs came from the gray wolf. The Native Americans, they domesticated them, and then we inbred them to get our different breeds. And it's hard to believe that a Chihuahua came from that. That's a lot of inbreeding, but it happened. And again, dogs are dogs. They're social. They like to be amongst their own species. That's why they do so well in family situations, is because they're a social unit. Loyal, extremely. Once you're in that pack situation, you're in that pack for life. And they're very easy for us to work with. They're my favorite of the wildlife ambassadors. I've worked with them for,
Sam as well.
Gosh, yeah, you know, I mean, we took Keone here to the state fair a few years ago, and my daughter actually used her as a pillow, and they slept through 2 programs there in our stage area at the state fair. And people were wondering if I had the wolf drugged. I said, no, I shot the kid with the tranquilizer to keep her under control. But no, this is what they do. And it just comes down to imprinting. It's just like any other relationship. The more time you spend on it, the better it becomes. We spend a ton of time with all of our ambassadors, and this is what we get. So it's not the big bad wolf. You don't have to be afraid of them. You do have to respect them. I mean, you're going to have individuals who are going to get into trouble, but you don't banish the entire species because of a few bad individuals.
Where can folks see Keone? Tell us where you are and your hours.
Sure. You can see Keone and a few of our other wildlife ambassadors at the Academy of Wildlife Education. We're in Merle Hay Mall, open during regular mall hours, 7 days a week. I think we're only closed twice throughout the entire year, on Christmas and on Easter now. And so, yeah, whenever the mall's open, we're open. You can come down, take a look at Keona, ask questions, be involved in some of our wildlife education programs, and learn about the conservation issues that are relevant to you.
It costs $5 to get in, and it's so cool. I brought my kids there. We need to come again, especially this summer when they're driving me crazy. Just go down there and hang out, because it's such a neat place, guys. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, we've got some new attractions coming up. We hope to have our turtle contact pond open here soon, and then we've got some pretty big news coming up later this year. We'll debut on a Great Day.
Okay, great.
So we'll have a good time.
Ron, Sam, thank you very much for being on. We'll take a look at totally serious news coming up. Check on the forecast as well. Stay tuned.